Chapter 4, Section 2, Respiration, starting on page 123 of the Life Science textbook. Standard focus for this section is that students will know that mitochondria liberate energy for the work that cells do and that chloroplasts capture sunlight, energy for photosynthesis. The key ideas are what events occur during respiration and what is fermentation. You and your friends have been hiking all morning. You look for a flat rock to sit on so you can eat lunch. The steepest part of the trail is ahead. You'll need a lot of energy to get to the top of the mountain. That energy will come from food. Before food can provide your body with energy, it must pass through your digestive system. There, the food is broken down into small molecules. These molecules can then pass into your bloodstream. Next, the molecules travel through the bloodstream to the cells of your body. Inside the cells, the energy in the molecules is released. In this section, you'll learn how your body's cells obtain energy from the food you eat. This is figure 5, energy. Vigorous exercise such as hiking requires a lot of energy. All the energy your body uses comes from food. Then figure 6, energy from respiration. All organisms need energy to live. The leopard frog uses energy to leap great distances. Although the mushrooms don't move, they still need energy to grow and reproduce. So what is respiration? After you eat a meal, your body converts some of the food into glucose, a type of sugar. Respiration, herein highlighted, is a process by which cells obtain energy from glucose. During respiration, cells break down simple food molecules such as sugar and release the energy they contain. Because living things need a continuous supply of energy, the cells of all living things carry out respiration continuously. Plant cells, as well as animal cells, respire. Storing and releasing energy. Energy stored in cells is something like money you put in the savings account in a bank. When you want to buy something, you withdraw some of the money. Cells store and use energy in a similar way. During photosynthesis, plants capture the energy from sunlight and save it in the form of carbohydrates, including sugars and starches. Similarly, when you eat a meal, you add to your body's energy savings account. When cells need energy, they withdraw it by breaking down the carbohydrates in the process of respiration. Breathing and respiration. The term respiration has two meanings. You've probably heard it used to mean breathing, that is, moving air in and out of your lungs. To avoid confusion, the respiration process that takes place inside cells is sometimes called cellular respiration. The two meanings of the term respiration do point out a connection, however. Breathing brings oxygen, which is usually necessary for cellular respiration, into your lungs. So reading checkpoint. What is respiration? There are two stages of respiration. Like photosynthesis, respiration is a two-stage process. Figure 7 shows these two stages. Okay. That's it down here. The first stage takes place in the cytoplasm, and reminding you that cytoplasm is the gel-like substance that is inside of the cell and surrounds the organelles. There, the molecules of glucose are broken down into smaller molecules. Oxygen is not involved, and only a small amount of energy is released. The second stage of respiration takes place in the mitochondria. There, the small molecules are broken down into even smaller molecules. These chemical reactions require oxygen and release a great deal of energy. This is why the mitochondria are sometimes called the powerhouses of the cell. The energy liberated or released by mitochondria is still stored in the form of chemical energy, but now it is stored in molecules that are readily used by the cell. Two other products of respiration are carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide diffuses out of the cell, and most animals, the carbon dioxide and some water leave the body during exhalation. Thus, when you breathe in, you take in oxygen, a raw material for respiration. When you breathe out, you release carbon dioxide and water, products of respiration. The respiration equation. Although respiration occurs in a series of complex steps, the overall process can be summarized in the following equation. Sugar, C6H12O6, plus oxygen, 6 molecules of O2, yields 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water and energy. Notice that the raw materials for respiration are sugar and oxygen. Plants and other organisms that undergo photosynthesis make their own sugar. The glucose in the cells of animals and other organisms comes from the food they eat. The oxygen comes from the air or water surrounding the organism. So figure 7, the 2 stages of respiration. Respiration, like photosynthesis, takes place in 2 stages. Note that the energy is released in both stages. Right? On stage 1, in the cytoplasm, glucose is broken down into smaller molecules. A small amount of energy is released. So glucose goes into the cytoplasm, broken down into smaller molecules, and energy is released. In stage 2, inside the mitochondria, the smaller molecules combine with oxygen to produce water and carbon dioxide. This reaction releases a large amount of energy. So oxygen, smaller molecules go into the mitochondria, out comes carbon dioxide, a larger amount of energy, and water. Figure 8, photosynthesis and respiration. You can think of photosynthesis and respiration as opposite processes. So during photosynthesis, right, plants use carbon dioxide and release oxygen. So 6 CO2 molecules plus 6 water molecules yield 1 molecule of sugar and 6 free molecules of oxygen. Right, so inside the chloroplast, sugar and oxygen are produced. During respiration, the organisms use that oxygen and release carbon dioxide. So there, the sugar plus the 6 molecules of oxygen yields 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water. And the carbon dioxide and water then go in and help fuel the photosynthetic reaction, and then those fuel the respiration reaction. Comparing photosynthesis and respiration. Can you notice anything similar about the equation for respiration? Anything familiar about the equation for respiration? You are quite right if you said it's the opposite of the equation for photosynthesis. This is an important point. During photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water are used to produce sugars and oxygen. During respiration, the sugar, glucose, and oxygen are used to produce carbon dioxide and water. Photosynthesis and respiration can be thought of as opposite processes. Together, these 2 processes form a cycle that keeps the levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide fairly constant in Earth's atmosphere. As you can see in figure 8, living things use both gases over and over again. Reading checkpoint, which processes, photosynthesis or respiration, produces water? Fermentation. Some cells are able to obtain energy from food without using oxygen. For example, some single-celled organisms live where there is no oxygen, such as deep in the ocean or in the mud of lakes or swamps. These organisms obtain their energy through fermentation, an energy-releasing process that does not require oxygen. Fermentation provides energy for cells without using oxygen. The amount of energy released from each sugar molecule during fermentation, however, is much lower than the amount released during respiration. One type of fermentation occurs when yeast and some other single-celled organisms break down sugars. This process is sometimes called alcoholic fermentation because alcohol is one of the products. The other products are carbon dioxide and a small amount of energy. The products of alcoholic fermentation are important to bakers and brewers. The carbon dioxide produced by yeast creates air pockets in bread dough, causing it to rise. Carbon dioxide is also the source of bubbles in alcoholic drinks such as beer and sparkling wine. Lactic acid fermentation. Another type of fermentation takes place at times in your body. You probably felt its effects. Think of a time when you ran as fast as you could for as long as you could. Your leg muscles were pushing hard against the ground. You were breathing quickly. No matter how hard you breathe, your muscle cells use up the oxygen faster than it could be replaced. Because cells lack oxygen, fermentation occurred. The fermentation supplied your cells with energy. One product of this type of fermentation is an acid known as lactic acid. When lactic acid builds up, you feel a painful sensation in your muscles. Your muscles feel weak and sore. Which kind of fermentation is important to makers? Reading checkpoint. And figure 9, lactic acid fermentation. When an athlete's muscles run out of oxygen, lactic acid fermentation supplies the cells with energy.